Hey there, this is Tim Campbell, and I'd like to welcome you to the Stormgate Early Access 0.3 update. This is a huge update for us, full of improvements to controls, visuals, and overall quality of life. So let's dive right in. First up, I'm excited to showcase Stormgate's brand new lighting model. After getting a lot of feedback from players, we have revamped our in-game lighting system to create a darker, less saturated backdrop for your epic battles. The terrain textures on our ground have also been updated to take advantage of this new lighting. In particular, you'll notice improved exposure values for both the highlights and shadows, especially at night. Our ground terrain has also gained some improved detail with enhanced specular highlights, which help to showcase our experimental time of day system that features both a moving sun and moon. We developed this feature because a changing light has a way of eliciting emotion. It brings new life to our environments, helping us to create a much more immersive experience for you, and will be featured heavily in our upcoming campaign revamp.
The graphics definitely look better.
The new time of day treatment is available in our co-op mode on Infested Crater, as well as in our custom game list on a day-night variation of Titan's Causeway. Along with that, a custom variant of our Isle of Dread map has been hit by a severe tropical storm, helping to explain how the island got its original name. Please let us know if you think these lighting and environmental effects are ready to be used on more of our maps. We've also gone even further with our visual improvements in this update, including a visual effects pass across most of the game, with an especially heavy focus on our versus mode. Our main goal for this pass was to add a layer of polish and to improve the overall visual quality of our combat. But we also kept our eyes focused on improving battlefield clarity by using faster impacts and adjusting the height, opacity, and size of our VFX wherever it would help legibility. Let's check out some of our latest visual effects upgrades. We poured extra fuel on our explosions, such as unit and structure deaths. More detail,
I feel like
bangs.
it seems like the graphics have like higher
Many
FPS.
effects also have been leveled up.
They visually do look better.
Light flashes, heat distortion, and they even dissipate more gracefully when they end. Many of our projectiles now also leave subtle trails behind. The Flayed Dragon has grown larger, with a more intimidating look. New Infernal construction teases an upcoming style update for the faction that you'll see more of in the near future. Collection arrays now visibly mined, more effectively with proper prism support.
Hi guys.
There are even new attack and movement UI pings, along with updated Luminite and Therium art. With so many new visual updates, War in Stormgate has never looked better. War is even sounding better too. After hearing a lot of feedback about sound, we completed a mixing pass on volume levels and concurrency across the entire game. This means that battles should be more audible with less disparities in the volume levels of different units and abilities. There is still a lot of work to do in this area, but we're making progress. We've also added new sound effects for the Animancer's reworked Dark Prophecy ability and for the Flayed Dragon. Next up, let's talk about quality of life. I am really pleased to share that a long-requested feature has finally arrived, per command hotkeys, or otherwise known as fully customizable hotkeys. This feature allows you to now be able to assign hotkeys based on individual commands instead of just based on grid position. This is completely independent for each faction and each game mode, so you have a ton of control. Automated control groups are now completely customizable too. You can now decide for yourself which control groups units are automatically assigned to whenever they're trained. For example, you could set frontline troops to number 3, ranged units to number 4, and flyers to number 5 for an easy and reliable way to select them. Or you could assign your transports to their own dedicated group.
I don't know if I'd use that because I don't know if I always want all my units on a hotkey.
Units to different control groups, if that helps you to optimize your play. As part
Interesting
of this,
idea.
We also reworked how the Select All Army button works. If that sounds scary to you, don't panic. I think you'll really like what we came up with. By default, Army units are now automatically assigned to Control Group 10, which is selectable using spacebar. This is essentially the same behavior as an all-army hotkey, with one clear difference. Now you can steal units out of it. This makes it much easier to send a group out on their own side mission without accidentally selecting them 3 seconds later with that all army key again. We've all been there. The traditional select all army hotkey still exists though, and you can rebind that back to spacebar if you absolutely must cling to the old ways. On top of that, we've also added alternate hotkeys. A hotkey to steal and add to control group.
That's good.
A hotkey to remove from control group. A hotkey to cycle the quick macro tabs. And a hotkey to cycle HQs, which is a great way to quickly jump around to all of your bases. Previously, our flying units had the same movement behavior as ground units, which looked and felt especially clunky for flyers as groups of aircraft tried to pathfind around each other midair. Now flyers move with flocking flight behavior. Say that 10 times fast. This allows them to pass through and to overlap each other while moving around.
I'm just going to throw it out there.
Much nicer to control. There are a lot of nuances to this system. For example,
right there makes air units a lot stronger.
Naturally separate over time while moving. And when stationary, they spread out even more rapidly.
Not a problem, but
also before attacking, flyers will first spread out to help mitigate
extremely
clumped up focus firing. Now when units change directions, they look a lot more natural. Instead of turning with a fixed rotation rate, units' rotation rate will quickly slow as they approach their forward direction, contributing to an overall smoother look for units as they move around the battlefield. Projectile movement behavior has been improved behind the scenes. Arcing projectiles like the Atlas and Mortardon now have more natural arcs, and their projectiles will reach a higher apex in order to cover longer distances. Unit launching abilities like Heroic Leap, Vulcan Dash, Meteor Slam will look more natural as well. A match start countdown has been added for non-campaign games. Games can additionally be paused in any mode, with multiplayer matches allowing up to 3 pauses per player. AoE abilities now highlight affected friendly units in green and enemy units in red as a targeting preview before being cast. More detailed error messages have also been added to provide clearer feedback so you know when abilities can or cannot work and what the reason is for that. The post-game screen for Versus games has also been completely redesigned. It now displays detailed stats, graphs, and even kudos that highlight key achievements from your match.
I'm gonna get.
Additionally,
I would get expansionist every time.
In-game in the Stormgate client. Keep your eyes peeled for an upcoming tournament on March 1st and 2nd, benefiting the Children's Hospital of Orange County. You can also support Chalk with this huggable Battlefield Buddy. Proceeds from this in-game pet will be donated to Children's Hospital of Orange County to advance pediatric care and cutting-edge research. While watching replays, you can now swap vision between players to see what they were seeing as they played the game. This is not yet available as an observer, but that feature will be added soon in an upcoming update. Our team has really poured their hearts and their effort into this update to make it as special for you as possible, and I hope you really enjoy it. Looking ahead, our team is full speed ahead on both a campaign revamp and our factions effort. The campaign revamp is a sweeping overhaul of our campaign, including new missions and updated layouts. We've rewritten scripts, we're re-recording dialogue, and we're basically putting a bunch of little improvements in as well to make the campaign experience as fun and as exciting for you to experience as possible. For factions, we're adding new units to each faction, we're changing up some of the core systems that underpin each of them, we're changing the tech trees, and we're basically adding a bunch of changes to double down on what's most fun about each faction, and that would help accentuate their unique identity on the battlefield. So I just want to say thank you very much. We couldn't do what we're doing without you. We still have a long road ahead with many more improvements to make and a lot more content to share with you. And your support, feedback, encouragement along the way has meant everything to us. You are directly helping to shape the game and make it better when you share your thoughts with us. So I ask you to please use 0.3 as your opportunity to invite friends into the game, to micro or macro your hearts out on the battlefield, and to really continue sharing that feedback with us so that together we can make Stormgate as great as possible. I'll see you on the battlefield.
I mean, it's definitely a graphics update. The way I feel about that update, what we just watched, is I feel like it's like a... It's definitely a good graphics update. Like, there was definitely some improvements on just like the clarity of what you're looking at, and it looks cleaner. It looks like it literally, like, it looks like the game has higher FPS in certain animations and stuff like that. I still think, for me personally, I'm glad that you know, he said like there's still a long way to go. It's definitely a graphical update, but I don't think enough is being addressed for me personally about the actual game. Like, what I personally would want to hear about this game is I want to hear about like the gameplay, and I specifically want to hear about 3v3, and I specifically want to hear more about 1v1. So like, if anyone doesn't understand what's gonna make me ultimately want to go try Stormgate again, I think it's something that's more interesting inside just the gameplay department. And for me right now, the gameplay isn't doing it enough. And that entire update is about graphical updates for the most part. So although I think that's a good thing, it's great, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it makes me want to play still though. But yeah, I mean, it definitely looks better. It definitely looks better. I don't want to say it's a bad update. It's definitely an update that is taking Stormgate a step in the right direction. But it's mostly just like a reskin for what it currently still is. And from what I feel right there, from what I watched. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I guess I'll post that. I don't really feel like, me personally, just as... I feel like I'm always gameplay first kind of mentality for everything I play. And if the game runs great, then that's amazing. It makes me super happy. If it looks great, that's a bonus. But the gameplay honestly needs to be fun. It can't just look pretty and not be fun. So they made the game look prettier. And that's, you know, that's a good thing. Good for them. I'm happy for them. The game is improving. I'll watch more of their updates in the future and see where the game's at. That's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, I guess that's it. We can move on to the next thing. Thanks for watching.